Hello, and welcome back to Azarmorph Builds the Millennium Falcon. In this episode, we're going to be going through issue 2, as it is episode 2. So it all makes perfect sense, doesn't it? Anyway, I would like to, before we go into the magazine, just do a big shout out to those that were kind enough to give me some really nice feedback on YouTube, Facebook, and Messenger. It is very much appreciated. Helps me look at how I'm filming, and also lets me know if I'm doing things right or wrong, so thank you for that. So that said, we're going to crack on into issue 2 now. Issue 2, as you can see here, is as per the last issue, not hugely thick, but as I say, it is the cherry on top of the cake. So the real crux of this is the model itself, but it's a good read because it's nice to get something to read and entertain the brain cells in between the delivery of the model as we go through the series. Now, as you can see here, we've got the ultimate smuggling ship, but I want to flick over here because here we go. Here we've got Chewie, who is the Wookiee that keeps Han Solo company and seems to be doing a lot of the repair work, because he always seems to be working on the ship in all the episodes. In this issue, turn over the page, this is the interesting part. One of the interesting parts, the whole thing's interesting, but one of the interesting parts, which is the cockpit. This is the view that you would have if you were Han Solo, Chewbacca, or even Lando Calrissian. Now, you don't know how often I've been saying Calrissian before I filmed this to make sure I could actually say that right. But anyway, Lando was the chap that said he would bring back the Millennium Falcon without a mark on it. Yet, if you have a look at this picture, which is Lando bringing the ship out, it's missing its radar dish. Yes, he dinked it on the way out. I'm sure that the insurance policy will all be dealt with on that. Anyway, we go over the page and we're on to Hoth now. This is basically Empire Strikes Back. It's got the AT-AT battle scene, which happens to be one of my favourite scenes in the whole of the Star Wars series, is the AT-AT scene, just because of the sheer bulk of the machines moving around. I thought it was a really cleverly filmed battle. So that's one of my favourite parts. And then flick over to here. Now this is where we get to the point where, as I mentioned in episode 1, if I find something that I can relate to the Industrial Lights and Magic book by Thomas G. Smith, then I would do so. And we've got a great example right here. Because in the magazine it's talking about the Wampa, which is this creature here. The Wampa is the animal that attacked Luke Skywalker when he was out doing the scouting at the very beginning of The Empire Strikes Back. Now, what this article here mentions is that in the initial filming, there was basically a glove puppet, a hand puppet used for the filming. It was only when they did the special edition of the Empire Strikes Back that they used a scaled down costume, Wampa suit, which made it look larger than life. Now, it doesn't actually show you the hand puppet in this. However, if we bring over the Industrial Lights and Magic book, guess what I found? There we go. There is the hand puppet in question. So it's quite good to kind of refer to that when I find something of that ilk for us to look at. So I thought that was quite interesting. Hopefully you enjoyed that as well. It's obviously these little things I try to add as he puts the book down. I tried to add to these, but more informative maybe. So we're going to now move on to the crux of this episode, the parts, the model itself. So we now have the usual picture showing where parts are coming from, and we're going to follow this in chronological order. By that, what I mean is that we've got number 1 item up here, 2, 3, and then we go 4, which is the gaming table, and then the parts of the frame, which we will be putting together in this episode. I don't know quite how this is going to work out, but as I say, it's development of the filming as we go as well. But we also get our free screwdriver, which we'll come to as well in a second. So first part first is the instruments. Now what I'm going to do, instruments, quad laser turret I think you'll find Azarmorph. Anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in the parts that we've used we saw in issue 1, because we're going to cross-reference that to the new part. So it was quite a good piece of plastic, I think you'll agree, in the last issue, but this one's much bigger and colourful. and etc, etc. So I'm going to just bring this up so that the camera can focus in on it. And what you can see here is that it's the colour of this section where the gun will fit into, we'll come to that in a minute, is very similar to that of the panel, the plating. So that's quite a good sign that they're actually getting that pretty close. The other good thing about this is that it's got the first elements of colour we're seeing on the panel, a faded orange element, grey areas here and here, a red areas here and here. But the other thing is it's also got battle scarring. Now, I think, yeah, we've got it. Battle scarring from obviously where it's been shot at in past lives. Now, if we if we rotate this here, you'll see this square hole here. That is the point at which we'll be putting the gun in. But what we're going to do is we're going to follow the magazine. So we'll come back to that a bit later on. But a good piece of the kit, I think you'll agree. And if we get out the old blueprint, we can see here on the 1-2 model that this is TP3. So it's top plate 3. It sits in there. It's quite central. So now we've got TP1 from the first issue, and we've got TP3 from the second issue. So it's the plates are beginning to come together, but we'll come back to that in a short time. So I'll just put that there and I'll put that over there for the moment. Right, next part is actually the console itself that fits within the cockpit, funnily enough. So this is the instrument console. As you can see, I've already put the sticker on because, as I mentioned, I have already gone ahead with some of these issues because I was like a kid in a candy store. I wanted to get stuck in a little bit whilst I got the feedback to see whether people wanted to see this or not. So we are catching up on where the bags are all sealed, and we'll open those together. So that'll be a later stage on. But I'm going to now try to bring this up. If it doesn't, I'm going to cut, I think is probably the point. Oh no, look at that, it's coming. So as you can see there, we've got some nice detail, but also what I'm going to do is pull a pencil here as it loses focus. Now, as you can see, I've just had to slightly adjust it and let it tune itself in. What we've got here is, there's the display there, and these 3 holes here are for what I believe will be control sticks and such like. But it kind of matches in with the control panel that we just saw there. Again, quite good and in the detail of the sticker. Sticker's really quite nice and stuck on quite well. But yeah, quite pleased with that. So once we get the other parts, which will fit into these holes, these will probably be in later issues, it'll all come together quite nicely. So I'll just put that back down there and let the camera refocus itself. And then readjust the magazine. So there we go. So that's the second part. The next part of the magazine, items 4 and 5, is the table. I'm going to have the fun and games again on this. But let me just see if I can get it to adjust. There we go. So now I've got the table in view. What we've got here is, you can see the red buttons there. It's also got a couple of coloured buttons, either side, one there and one there. So as you can see with the table here, what I've done is I've actually lined the black and white, the line there between the black and white, up with the edge of the table, there, and up here is probably easier to see. There we go. Because I felt that would give it a far better centering on it. So I'm going to give the camera a little bit of rest there because of the close-up stuff it's not overly happy with, but we'll get there. We'll get there. So we've now got the table. We've now got the console, we've now got that. The next part that we really get on to is the frame itself. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to grab TF03. So TF03 looks very similar to TF02 that we had in the first episode. In fact, the reason for that is that, by the looks of things, these will screw together. As it gets the rotation right, these will screw together like so. Like so, I would say. But we'll be building this shortly, so that'll all come together. So that's TF2, TF3, and then we also get TF4 here, which is another section of the frame. Quite nice. That's all. And as you can hear by it, don't know if you can hear that, but it's good quality. So we're also going to bring in, on top of this, the next part, the other part of the frame from issue 1, which is TF01. So there we go, we've got TF01. So we put them to the one side now. So we've got the frameworks all in, but now we get to the other bits. Now I've put them into a storage tin. What we've got in here is the screws and the elements that we're going to put it together. So if I bring these out, I'm going to slide the magazine up a little bit so you can see it. We've got 1, 2, 3 of these 4 squares that you can see at the bottom of your screen. There we go. And we've got 1. We're going to start getting tricky here. But the reason why I put them in a tin is to keep them all safe, because the last thing you want to do is lose a bit on this. So again, we've got these 3 ones here, and then we've got 3 2-hole units there. And then we're going to get out a whole load of screws. Now, I don't know how many screws. I think it's about 12 screws here. So what I'm going to do is, I'm so tempted just to tip this out, but I know that I've got other screws in here that are from a later edition. So I'm just going to grab out the 12 screws. There's 3. So now I'm just going to seal the lid back up again and put that away. If you play Games Workshop, you'll know that tin. Good. Now we've got the parts out. So we got 12 screws, 3 of these squares, and 3 of those, which is all good. You can just see them on the screen, which is good news. So now we're going to start following the magazine through. Yes, we are. But one thing we need first: the screwdriver. So here we go. This is the freebie we get with it. It's bog standard Phillips screwdriver. You won't be able to see much detail there, I don't think, but it's good enough. It's got the loose top so that you can hold and rotate, if we can get that in a shot. And it does basically what it says in the tin. It screws things together. What I will, however, be doing, as I reach over and grab it, is I'll probably be continuing to use my set of screwdrivers and tools for the project, just because it gives me more variety, and it'll probably come a bit more apparent as we go through, because I've got a feeling that we're going to need things like tweezers, clippers and such like for parts of it. So that's what I'm going to do. But it's good that they give you the bare essentials, as it sits back up, bare essentials for the model making. So talking about actually building the model, now we've got more parts in, we can get on with building. And the first part it comes to is the building of the framework. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to drop the camera, because I'm going to try and film this really close up so you can see these all come together on the framework, and then we'll probably come back out. So we'll just bear with me a second. Okay, as you can see, I've brought the camera in a little bit closer because we've got some small parts to be dealing with in this episode. So you can see how this pans out. So first of all, we've got TF1, TF2, 3 and 4. We've also got all the screws and everything we need. So how about we get started on this? So first of all, we want to get TF1. I'm going to try and make sure I get this in the shot. And we want to grab one of these 2 holes. So if I put that on the figure there, you can see one of these ones. And what I'm now going to do is I'm now going to place a screw into one of these holes. Let's see if we can see if there's a way around or anything. Nope. So what I've now just done is I've just probably off camera there, because I go, oh, what's that? I've put a screw through one of those parts. So it's literally now a case of screwing that into place. Now, one of the things that I wanted to show you was, if you have a look on the side detail of this, I don't know if you can quite make that out. Let's get a little bit closer. It doesn't have to be focused, but if you have a look about here, you will see there is actually an indent in the metalwork. And if you look up at this top, that's probably a better view there, is that on this piece here, you can see that there is a little indent here. That's to accept these. So that's quite good. So if I come back down here again, my big hands will get in the way on this, I'm absolutely sure. But let me see if I can just line that up. So the first thing is to screw this into here. Again, I'll see how this works. I mean, it might be a case of like the old Blue Peter or other television making programs, which is like, and here's one I've made earlier, you know, type thing. So having screwed that in, we've got one of the brackets in place there. You can just see it there. And then we move on to the next piece, which I believe is a 4-hole attachment. which is obviously one of these. And we do the same again. So what I'll do is I'll get the... See, the thing is, if I was left-handed or sitting on the side, it might be even easier than this. But what I'll do is I'll just grab one of these and drop the screw in, because it's the actual bind seems to be within the framework itself. So grab that, and we offer that up to there. And screw that in again. Tricky when you've got massive hands like me. And screw that in, there we go. So as you can see, we've now got two of the key components there. So that seems to be the key drivers. The screws are into the parts. And I'm trying to just give you a better view of that indent that's screwed in. Yeah, there you go. You can just see it there. So that's all good. So that's the first parts put together on the framework. The next one is to grab TF2, which is this part here, and offer it up. And there is where we put it. So basically we're offering that up and putting it into place. Now that actually grips now because of these indents that are along the side. So that's holding it in place. So if I now grab another screw and drop that in, whoop, there, and screw that into place with our screwdriver. Like a short, nice and simple, nice and simple. And then we grab another screw and we screw that one into there. So this is basically the method of construction for this element of the models. There we go. And we have now got our first part of the framework together. How's that, eh? We're now beginning to build it. In the second episode, we're already beginning to build this, which is really quite nice. So the next part is to then go on and attach, I guess, TF3 in like so. So I will get, you see me screw these two parts here together. It's not easy to pick it up on the camera because of the detail work. So what I'm going to now do is I'm now going to screw the two plates in there, and then I'll be right back. Right, back for just a quick update. There we go. That was a little bit fiddlier than I thought it would be compared to the first ones we did together. But I've got that was the fiddly one there, because the return on this metal part here, and we've got this here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come right back once I've got this here, and then by technical default, you will have done two ways that I could film this, which is where you guys could have input on it, which is a before and after. So before, and then it'll be the after, or me actually screwing it together on camera. So you guys can make up your mind. But what I'm going to do is I'm now going to go and do this off camera, and get this part put on, and then we'll come back for another quick update. Back again, as you can see now, we've now attached TF03. Or should I say, oh yes, it is TF03. So we've attached TF03, and we've got the beginnings of the raised mount point for this part. But what I'm now going to do is I'm now going to go and attach the next piece on, which is the TF04. So, but however, it does show you the types of the two filming methods I've got here for you, which is one, to be actually screwing this on camera and you just see my hands a lot. You can tell which way I'm going myself here on the preference. Or to show you the parts, show you an initial, this is how it goes together, and then follow through with showing you the before as a part, and then after when it's together. Please let me know by comment of which way you like filming. At the moment, I think for filming benefits, it's actually better if I do the show you the parts, put it quickly together when you can't physically see it because of the size of the part, and then drop it on to, come back when it's actually put together and explain it. However, what I'm now going to do is I'm now going to put the other part on, and I will be, I'll be right back, obviously. Okay, as you can see, I've now done it. Whilst I was putting on TF4, I realised there was a third way I could do the filming, which is to film it and then put it to music and speed it up, so you could see all the fun and games of me dropping screws and everything. But there's three methods that I'm asking if you guys want. One is that I screw it up slowly and talk to you whilst we do it. Two is this is what it looks like before, this is what it is afterward, which is what you're seeing just now. Or three is to do fast forward, probably with some music, not related to Star Wars because of the copyright issues, but some background music just as I put it all together. So there's some choices there. I'm quite happy for you guys to have input on that as we go through the series. But for now, I think before and after for the moment, I think is the way we're going, as we've done in this episode. So as you can see, I'm now going to get my screwdriver. One thing I did find out while screwing this together, because it just proves I haven't had it, is that this is actually magnetized. So actually when you could hook on the screws quite easily, which is good. But we've got the 2 plates here, 4 plate there, because there's obviously other metalwork going to be going there. 4 plate there, 2 plate there, 2 plate there, 4 plate there. So it's all good, all together, quite robust, quite strong. Again, I think with the plastic on the top of it, it will reinforce it again. That's the side of the unit. Now, just to kind of go back to our good old blueprint, so if I bring that forward, what we have now done, if I can get the area into focus, is we have now put TF1, TF2, TF3, TF4 together. So that is the area that we've now just built at the 1 to 5 scale on the plan. So there we go. Now what that does also mean is that we can now put this into place, although we can't fix it as yet. What we can do is slot it. So let me just turn these round for your benefit. So we've got what we've got here is we've got 1 raised point here, 2, 3, 4. They'll slot into the holes within the framework, and in this instance it's the 2 ones at the bottom. So as you can see, hopefully you saw that there, is that you've got your 2 points here. Now that will be then fixed in some method or other, but we've got that now fixed. So if I flip that over, you can now begin to see the beginnings of that shape of the raised element on the Millennium Falcon that we know and love well. So it's coming together. So we finally got a good chunk piece there, and then obviously with this part here, as I've slopped things down, if that will be further down, there'll be a piece in between, I would expect, and there you go. You can now see how big that. Obviously I've zoomed in, but it's getting to be quite some sizable piece. So first section of the framework all put together now and bolted together with that on top, really looking good. It does what it says on the tin. It kind of starts to get you quite excited about the build, and basically there's the picture of what we were looking at. Now if we flick over, there's some other bits and pieces we can put together. I'm obviously being in close shot for the moment, but if we look here, you've got the next 2 parts, which is the table. It's mentioned how it's the sticker on, which is good, and it also talks a bit about the framework itself from the original model. But we've already discussed the table, so I'm going to put that to one side because it's not actually involved in any further construction. Then what we've got up here is we've also got the cockpit from our issue 1, which is here, as you can see, with its details and everything. And what happens here is that if I rotate this round, you'll see it better. You've got 2 holes here. So what this is for the equipment information console, or instrument console, let's get it right, and we slot that in. Again, you probably want to glue these at some point, but until I know what I'm doing about the painting of the model or not, I'm leaving that as such, just so you get an idea. It's all good. So that's another piece put in, so I'll keep those together for safety at the moment, and that's coming along quite nicely. So that's another piece I'm going to put. I'll put it just there for the moment so you can see it. Now, in the last piece that we're going to put together, I'm just going to double check that, yes, because we're at the end of the magazine. The last piece is putting the gun in, and it just this actually proves the point about why people are actually getting on and decorating and fine tuning their equipment. Because here's the gun that we made in the first episode, and here is our lovely big plate. And what we've got here is the mount point here, which is squarish. There we go. That will now slot into the opening, which you can see right there. So we'll just bang that together just now. Again, these are, once this is, if we decide to paint it, then it will be, I'll then stick it in, I guess. I mean, I'm beginning to think that maybe I'll build it vanilla, and then at some point we'll do some painting of the model. Either that, or I will get my 2 colleagues. I'll post these to my colleagues, and they could do it for me. And I will link their websites and artwork at some point in the episodes. So I will. Now, for those that have stayed to the end of this episode, I'm going to probably mention it a couple of times. But what was I going to say? Yes, I actually have a family connection with Star Wars. There's planted a seed for you, isn't there? I have a family connection with Star Wars, but I'm not going to mention what that is straight off the bat. No, no, no. I'm going to work out a trigger for me telling you what my family connection is with the Star Wars trilogy. So I'm going to plant that at the end of this video in your minds, and then I'm going to work out what I would like to happen so that I could tell you why what family connection I actually have with Star Wars. So there we go. Intriguing stuff. Okay, well, hopefully you've enjoyed issue 2 with me. That is us wrapping up now. Again, I'm probably going to be looking at having a quick look at my recordings of time frame at the moment of about 20 minutes. Trying to keep them short episodes. I don't think I want to go beyond 20 minutes, although I think the first episode was 25, 26. Keep them short and sharp. I've got a feeling that if we have a look at the end of the back of the magazine, you will actually see once it comes into focus, it tells us what we're getting in the next issues. So in the next issue, we've probably not got so much. So that's probably going to be a shorter episode, but then we've got more parts by the looks of things in issue 4, so we'll be building more elements, which is really exciting stuff again. So, as I say, hope you've enjoyed the episode. Until next time, I wish you all well voyage, and I'll see you in episode 3. Until then,